having Dr. Vineet Sehgal. He will be telling us case-based scenarios with regards to ocular blood flow. Dr. Vineet.
Thank you,
Start
ma'am.
sharing, sir.
Is the share screen option coming?
Sir, you need to switch on your presentation, run your presentation first, and then share screen will be coming. You had shared earlier also, right, sir?
Now it is coming, sir.
Yes, sir. You can start your presentation.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Loud and clear, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Myself, Dr. Vineet Sehgal, would be presenting you few of the cases. Before I start the cases, where the OBF have a role in my practice. So I do this OBF not only for the glaucoma patients, we do this study for ocular ischemic syndrome as well. And any patient who is coming with the vascular occlusion, there also we can have some OBF as a role. Now, what are various techniques? We have just, Dr. Meenakshi, Dr. Murli have given us a lot of insight about all the techniques here. What is the basic advantage of the color Doppler imaging? It is a non-invasive method. And the principle of operation is it basically have the ultrasound guided, non-invasive blood flow velocity technique. What we measure, ma'am has told us, we measure ophthalmic artery, central retinal artery, and the various indices that we have. I won't basically go into the details. Basically, we measure the peak systolic velocity and diastolic velocity and the resistive index. Now, as you can see, I'm very much fortunate that my better half, Dr. Aanchal, she is a radiologist and she has been trained under Dr. Venkat Sai and Dr. Elon Harris also. So she is doing the ocular blood flow studies for me. And we are doing this as Dr. Venkat Sai has trained us. We are doing this in one of our patients. So we use basically a same Doppler machine with the probe, which is 10 millihertz, 7 to 10 millihertz, and it is placed on the closed eyelid, and then we get the graphs. And this is like the graph which we can see with the central retinal artery. So similar type of graphs are seen in the short posterior ciliary arteries, and we basically, it is a very, very important that the same as Dr. Murli have told us, that the same radiologist is doing the follow-up for the patient, doing the test and doing it repeatedly once again and again. Now, what is our experience? We have a OPD of around 25,000 patients per month. Around 2,000 patients are primary, secondary, mixed glaucoma. We have around 14 centers all over the India, and we are basically equipped with each and every modality that you want for the management of the glaucoma. So where this modality fits into my clinical practice, being a clinical practice, being a practitioner in a private corporate hospital. So the patient profile who are diabetic, hypertensive, post-vitreoretinal surgery, pre-existing coronary artery disease, vasculopathies. So these patients, if they are having glaucoma, what I used to do was, I used to do only diurnal variation with BP charting. So as you can see that we are doing a 24-hour BP charting, we are seeing that are there any nighttime dips here? We also used to do a diurnal variation from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and we basically correlated it with the blood pressure monitoring. So now we have this modality with us. So the indication for OBF analysis for me is unexplained progression of visual field defects even on the target IOP, normal tensive glaucoma patients who are having a vascular occlusion or ocular ischemic syndrome, and also right now we wanted to learn about this modality. So a lot of normative data I wanted to collect from this OBF analysis. So you can see in one of the patient, the OBF is going on, the OBF study. So I am very fortunate that Dr. Aanchal is with me and she's doing all these OBF studies. And because of the lockdown, we were not able to follow up the patients for last 6 months to 1 year, but maybe the things now are better. We would be doing more of the OBF studies. So as you can see, the OBF study is going on, and this is the type of report that we give to the patient, where, as Dr. Murli have told us, we give all the, in the ophthalmic arteries, CRAs and the SPAs, we do share the PSVs, the end diastolic velocities and the resistive index. So what is my experience? We have done around 30 cases from all the variety of patients. I just want to share 2 of the cases with me, with all of you. These are the first patient was a 74-year-old male. He was a pseudophakic. He was complaining of blurring of vision in the left eye. And there was a small pale disc. It was not looking like a glaucomatous disc, but the patient says that, sir, I'm repeatedly having attacks of blurring of vision. Anyways, we went ahead with the OBF analysis, and if you can see here, the waveforms, the abnormal waveforms, if you can appreciate here. I'm just highlighting it. If you can see here, so there are some abnormal waveforms which we are getting. So I got a call from Dr. Aanchal, and then we went ahead with the carotid Doppler also. So see, from the ocular Doppler, we got some hint that there is something abnormal going on, and we went ahead with the patient with a carotid Doppler also, and we saw that there is a 100% blockage. Now this was not detected earlier. So what the color Doppler imaging have told me that from some hint that I was getting from the OBF analysis, I was able to detect something which is more serious, more related to the mortality of the patient that we can detect. So that's why it's very important that not only the OBF analysis has to be seen only in terms of glaucoma, it should be basically there as a hint towards any major vascular problem the patient may be having also. So the case 2 I would be sharing here, he was a 64-year-old male. He was basically having, she was having a 6/6 parts vision in both eyes. The baseline IOP was 26. She was started on the latanoprost earlier, and now the pressures were controlled. And on examination, everything seems to be nice. There was no frank neuroretinal dim defect, but when I saw the visual field, it was having a very heavy defects in the left eye. You can see the arcuate scotomas. So I was not very clear that why this has happened. When I saw the optic nerve was not so bad. We went ahead with the ocular Doppler studies, and it also have not given us much of the idea that why this is happening. The peak systolic velocity of the ophthalmic artery was much higher. So I thought that this cannot be because of the glaucoma. So what we saw was that we sent the patient for the cardiological evaluation, and we saw the patient was suffering from an RHD. So I went back to see the patient, and I saw the optic nerve, everything. And then I saw some kinking of the vessels and some occlusion in the inferior part. So it was an inferior BRAO, which I have missed, which might have caused this effect. So from these two cases, I want to just highlight that it is not just the ophthalmologist who is basically getting some hints. It is we have to basically see it as a whole disease, where the cardiologist may also have a role in the treatment as well as in the management of the patient. So what is my carry home message? It is a new technique, standardization of the technique and interpretation has to be going on. We can get some clinical clues for the treatment of the ocular pathology, and ultimately at the site of interest and role of OBF in increasing the drugs can be explored in the future. So the results that we have seen, so it is almost the same that Dr. Murli has shared us. Only thing is that in the cases that I have basically collected, the peak systolic velocity of the posterior ciliary arteries, the short posterior ciliary arteries, it is a bit more. So we are getting it around 14.16 to 13.21, but mine is a very small sample of 30 patients, and we are not able to get a follow-up because of the issues which we are facing of the lockdown and the decreased mobility of the patient. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vineet. That was very a nice presentation and highlighting the other aspects of color Doppler in our ophthalmic patients. So what would you say that when we should actually go for a color Doppler of carotids in such a scenario? What patients, what are the real indications?
I think that any patient who is undergoing an ocular Doppler should go with the carotid Doppler also, because it is the ophthalmic artery, and the ophthalmic artery, the branches are from the ophthalmic artery. So we have to see if the ophthalmic artery is getting enough blood or not. If there is a ICS stenosis of 90%, as we have seen in one of my patients, so then everything would be less. So I think that the total scenarios that we have to see the blood pressures and everything, with that, if you are doing, and it is the same probe, so we are doing it on the same machine, why not to go with the carotid Doppler and the ocular Doppler in the same setting?
We had an interesting problem with this same thing which you mentioned. Actually, the first few patients, we were doing both the ocular as well as the carotid Dopplers for all patients, and we were quite excited because the carotid shows us wonderful waveforms. You get lovely PSVs and EDVs and all that. It's very exciting to see that. When you put it on the eye, you don't get the same waveforms. But a few patients actually objected. They said that, why are you looking at my neck when the problem is in the eye? So then we had difficulty in getting consent from the patient, saying that you must get specific consent. They really said you must get a consent for doing the carotid as well as the ocular blood flow. So from then on, it becomes more complex. And then the radiology center turned around and said, we have to charge them for that as well. So now it becomes even more complex. So I think for you to say you will do the carotids, you have to charge them. You have to get a consent that you're going to look at the neck as well. And then, of course, the eye.
So
And
fortunately,
a very brief
Dr.
point.
There's the
You have a
subject.
wife as a radiologist. So I think you can do any other radiology and Doppler wherever else you want. You can probably look at the femoral artery
That
also. if
is-
you like.
This
So
is a
that is what
practical
I want.
problem. Yeah, but also when you were
Not all of
talking
us are married to radiologists.
peak systolic velocities, they found actually more, there was more variability of PSVs from operator to operator. So I think it is
Yes.
more important that we rely on the RI rather than anything else.
Absolutely. I think RI is the most
Yeah.
important thing, like how
Yeah.
we look at
I was going to
progression
ask the
also.
same
Yeah.
thing. What was the RI findings for you, Vineet? You shared the PSP findings. I would agree with that. The RI findings are because it's
Yes, and
a
RI findings
index.
in our whatever the cases we have done, it is getting more variability in the RI findings.
Okay.
as compared to the-
Because RI is the more consistent one and the more predictable one for ocular.
Yeah, and more reproducible.
Findings in these
So I
One
think
more
maybe
point.
it will be interesting to relook at your data and then share it with us.
One more quick point, I think where Google comes in, I think your Vineet was mentioning about looking at the fundus photograph and then looking at the cardiology and so on. I think Google has overtaken all of us. A fundus photograph